Welcome to Lunch and Learn, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday.
We're going to get started in just a couple
everybody.
minutes, but while we're waiting, what kind of wins, milestones, accomplishments, what do we got going on this week? Come on now. There's always a good win of the week. What do we got? I know y'all aren't this quiet today. I know we've got two exceptionally gorgeous guests today, but that does not mean you should all be nervous.
What's the question, Sharon?
Oh, Nikia, you must have just gotten kicked down back in again. What kind of, I know. Miss Nikia, could you please share with us what you got coming up this weekend?
Yes. So I do want to share a win. I just completed this RFP for City of Long Beach, and it took me days and all these different attachments and all this great stuff. But I submitted it. It's off this morning, and it could be 20,000 to 100 grand. So I'm excited about that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, this weekend, Women Elevating Women. I'm super happy about that. This is my 16th 1/6 event for this particular program. So I'm super excited. That's this Saturday. Any ladies want to come out, please do. It's Saturday.
Go ahead and
at
drop the link in the bio, Nikia.
Okay, will do. And thank you, Sharon. I got the Google Ads account running because of your Lunch and Learn. So I'm excited. So I love everything that that Chamber has put together. And hey, Amber, and I love it. So thank you guys.
Awesome. And so for those of you that are new, welcome to Chamber Nation. You've got Amber Anthony, the strategy specialist. I'm Dr. Sharon Elephant, the nonprofit plug. We are Chamber because we're hilarious. I saw a really good win in the chat. Miss D. Randall, that is worth announcing on the, out loud. Where did you go? I know I saw your screen.
Hi. How are you guys doing today?
Good. Go ahead and could you please share with us? Come on, that's a good one.
So I work for a nonprofit that specializes in, it's called spondylitis, which is I don't want to say a rare form of arthritis, but we started this podcast less than a year ago. And I'm just learning about the analytics of podcasts because obviously they're a little bit different from social media, right? So in less than a year, we've received over 15,000 downloads. We average about probably 2,500 to 3,000 downloads per month. So really excited because, it's my first time really just, producing a podcast. So that was like a super win. I've been slaving over this thing. So I'm super happy that it is as successful as it's been.
Yeah, that's super impressive. And I think a goal for a lot of us that are into podcasting is that's a huge metric for that is for downloads. That's awesome. Congratulations. All right.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Before I do some intros, any other wins, accomplishments, anything else anybody else wants to share?
It looks like Glenn is still trying to get on.
Okay.
We'll
give it a minute till he gets on. Y'all getting ready for Giving Tuesday is coming up in a couple of months. You should be starting now on your Giving Tuesday prep. We're going to be talking about all of the topics for the rest of the year are going to all be around the realm of getting funding in for your nonprofit organization. So we'll announce the October topics within the next 2 weeks. If there's any topics that you guys really want to hear about, just drop them in the chat and we'll make note. If there's some specific topics that some of you want us to address, we're more than happy to do that. Another thing you guys should be working on is your Google for Nonprofits. You guys can take advantage of getting G Suites for free, take advantage of giving $10,000 per month in Google ad advertising. Ooh, I see Papa Glenn. There he is. I think Alex just let him in. So make sure you guys are working on those things so you can take advantage of everything that you're learning every single week is great for you guys. Nikia shared in the beginning that she's got Women Elevating Women in Long Beach, California coming up this weekend. So if you're in California and in Long Beach, the link to that is in the chat box. I think Brooke, do you see, I know we hit the let him in button. I don't know where it went.
I can't see him on here just yet, but that's okay.
Oh,
He can
there
keep
he is
going.
again.
He'll jump on it.
I think he got kicked out. Okay.
There we go.
I see the Papa down at the bottom. Okay, well, as soon as he loads and stuff. Okay, okay. Hello, Papa Glenn, are you there? Patrick, at the end, I'm going to make an announcement because you can actually get Grant Station through the nonprofit plug even cheaper.
Can you hear me okay? Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
hi, Glenn, we can hear you.
Hi.
Hello,
Sorry,
hello, welcome to
I'm
the
too
Lunch
old
and
for
Learn.
Zoom. I'm too
That's-
old for Zoom. Next time, come and have a coffee with me.
I love it. It's
Put
okay.
your camera on. There's like 20 people
I
on
had
here.
to go through the fucking, I'm not a robot. Are you a robot? No. Do you pick this robot? No. I nearly threw the phone out the window.
I'm totally gonna make audio clips of your dad. This is great. Okay, so while
Dad,
Glenn
put
is
your camera
getting his video together, let me all get it started. Just so y'all know, every week we keep it super informal because we like to have open discussions. Amber and I like to have this as a welcoming environment for everyone to have discussions. I see that video. So without further ado, let me introduce, we have 3 guests today. They are 3 of the most beautiful individuals on the Zoom. We've got Glenn, his daughter Brooke, and the other 3 of the trio, Miss Nyla McKnight. We're going to be talking about auctions today and how auctions are another killer additional revenue stream for your nonprofit organization without you really having to do all that much work. I have personal experience in it. I raised $5,000 in one night from an auction, and I'll be honest, I didn't do shit. And had I done some shit, I probably would have raised $10,000 from the auction. And I didn't have Glenn and Brooke and Nyla either, so I total fail. So what we wanted to kind of do today, Glenn, Brooke, and Nyla, I would love for the 3 of you to give a way better intro than I did of the 3 of you, just real brief, who you are. I think there's a couple of people on here that actually know you guys, which is even more exciting. But if you guys could just kind of give a brief intro overview, and then Amber and I are actually going to use a real world example with you guys to understand auctions and nonprofits.
Okay.
And so we like to use real world examples with the group. And sometimes we pick on people in the group to, just get that reality check of what it's like to really implement something so we can see it in the works, that it's not just a thought. This is actually a real thing. So
Yeah.
I would hand it off to you, Brooke, to take the lead. And then however you want to introduce Papa Glenn and Miss Nyla, and then we'll dive into the actual exercise.
Sure. First of all, I just want to say thanks so much for having us, Dr. Sharon. It's great to see everybody on there. I know there's about almost 20 people on here, so this looks great. My name is Brooke Cortino. I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I've got my dad on the phone, Glenn Cortino, and business partner. We've worked together for about 10 years in real estate. And also Nyla, who's a wonderful colleague of ours, and she's the reason why I met you, Dr. Sharon, at her Black Under New Management event. So really excited to be here. I'm in real estate and obviously nonprofit auctions. So I'll hand it over to you, Dad and Nyla, to introduce yourselves as well.
You go before your dad because his bio is extremely longer than mine. I'm a Los Angeles realtor. I met Glenn and Brooke about 2.5 years ago now. I joined the brokerage with them, and it's just been wonderful working with Glenn and Brooke. They really, really care about their agents. They support you. They give you all the guidance and advice you need. And another thing that they do that sets them apart from all the other brokerages is that they do luxury auctions. And not just luxury auctions for homes, but for charity events. And I've been blown away to see them do events. I've attended about 4 auctions with them so far, and they've raised lots of money for different nonprofits. So I'm just happy to be working with them.
We like money.
Yes.
Thanks, Nyla. Good job. My name is Glenn Cortino. I'm scared of Brooke and I'm scared of Nyla, just so you know, for the record. I've been in real estate for 40 years. I've been doing auctions for about 35 of those years, solid 7 auctions every Saturday, 7 on a Sunday, and then I've been doing 25 years of charity auctions at night on Saturday nights at events, and we've raised millions of dollars doing those auctions. So I have a brokerage. We have 4 offices, Beverly Hills, Encino, Irvine, and Century City. So we're pretty busy running the 4 brokerages. My daughter and I started them about I'd like to say 3.5 years ago, and we've got about 80 agents that work for us. So that's keeping us pretty busy. And I'm a father of 5 with a wife of 36 years, came here to America to launch 2 boys' music career. So that's really why we came. We've got a boy that's 16 and 17 that are slowly taking over the world in music, and 5 kids and a grandkid. So that keeps us very, very busy. But we do a lot of charity auctions. So if you want to raise some money for an event, we would come along and do the auction pretty fast and quick. And, we can raise $5,000 or $10,000 very fast at one of these events.
Awesome.
That's the short story.
That is beautiful. And like, I kind of knew all of this info, but like the 3 of you, like, holy shit, I'm blown away because I don't think I knew as much on the real estate side. And I sort of like, I'm just got like a little bit nervous because I think I'm like, you just like blessed our group with greatness. So this is so exciting. So what I want to do first is, can you just give the group an overall, like, I don't know if definition is necessarily the right word, but tell us what an auction actually is. And in the sense of a nonprofit.
Okay,
in the nonprofit world.
In the real estate world, it's very simple. Instead of putting your house on the market for 5 months or 6 months, we would list your house, put on the market. It would be listed and sold 4 weeks later. And basically it's open house for 4 weeks. And on the last week, people fight for it. It's a non-contingent sale. So that means the buyer can't renegotiate in escrow. When it's done, it's done. There's no way out. And instead of telling everyone you want $1 million, we just say bidding to start at 500. And it gets everyone excited, chasing us. And all the reports, building, pest, termite, everything's done up front. So there is no way out for the buyer. When they buy it, they're locked. They can't go and buy a house if you're selling for $1 million and then say, oh, I found termites, maybe I'll offer you $950 later. It's locked in. So it's the best way to sell real estate. And it's the same for art auctions and all sorts. So that's what we do in real estate. We have transformed that into charities. So if you've got a pair of shoes signed by Michael Jordan and you take it and somebody donates it at a ball, we will get up and auction it. And we've had things like that are worth $100 that have sold for $1,000. We auctioned the other night. We auctioned off dinner with a good agent, and it sold for $2,000. And it was just dinner with a really good real estate agent. Or, the things to auction normally are things you can't buy. So it could be, coffee with Glenn, or 2 hours at a premiere for a movie, or some coaching. Some artwork, football, basketball signed by Michael Jordan, or anything like that. They're the things that make good money. The auctions at these events normally start at 9 o'clock and they're over in 20 minutes. It's a really fast-paced. We try to start them in the evening in an event, or if you're running a charity event, then we'll spend 30 minutes auctioning off items that are normally, they're always donated, so there's no reserves. But at an auction, people get silly. They'll pay $1,000 for a basketball that's worth $20. And that's where you make your money at these auctions.
Sure. And I mean, and it's also, people know it's for a great cause. So not only are you kind of getting this cool like artifact, then you're also, supporting a great cause. Ooh, this is so exciting. Okay. So what I kind of wanted to do, and if there's others in the group that want to chime in, that's totally fine. But Amber and I, primarily Amber actually has an event coming up in November, right? Amber? I think it's November.
Actually, it's October 18th.
Oh shit. Way sooner than
Hi, Amber.
Hello.
Glenn, Amber is the CFO for the nonprofit plug. So her and I do these lunch and learns every week together. So we combine our names. So welcome to Chamber Nation. You just came to the Chamber part today.
Where is the event?
So it is the most prestigious dance event of the year, the Industry Dance Awards in Hollywood at the Avalon Theater. But it's in conjunction with our charity Dancers Against Cancer.
Oh, wow, that's great.
So the dance competitions around the nation, some of the top dance competitions, are inviting all of their top studios from last year's competition to honor them. And then, of course, it's an award show.
Yeah.
While we're there, we do the meaningful work on behalf of Dancers Against Cancer. And in the past, we've had auctions, but nothing compared to what you're describing. And so, like you said, it's about deriving this fabulous list of things that people can't acquire, right?
Yeah. So it could be a dancing. It could be a dancing session with one of the best dancers in the room, or things that they can't buy. That's what you want to auction.
Right. So do you do kind of a brainstorming session? So let's say,
Yeah.
for instance, you were available, I wanted to collaborate. So is step one like a brainstorming session?
Yeah, you and I would sit down, have coffee, just plan it out, work out what time. So you only have very short attention span with people. So really, whenever the awards are, once the awards are finished, everyone's lost interest. So it has to be just before the awards. So, if the awards are at 9 o'clock, ideally by that time, people have had a few drinks. We want them drunk. And then if the awards at 9 o'clock, we would start the auction at 8:30 and finish at 9, because then they're going to wait and we're going to hold their attention. Once the awards are done, everyone's gone out. So we want to plan that. And then we want about 14, 15 items, which take 2 minutes each. And we would fly through those pretty quickly. And they should be donated. They should have no reserves on them. And they shouldn't be ridiculously we don't want to auction a piece of art for $10,000, because nobody goes to those events to spend that sort of money. But, unless it's something absolutely unique, it's normally, $500, $1,000, $2,000, $3, maybe in a push, unless it's something really spectacular, dinner with Jamie Foxx or something like that, then people, but you really have to lean on your friends and connections to get something, someone in the dance world, free coaching at a certain studio or whatever, something like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was going to ask that. So after the brainstorming session, then we would have to leverage relationships, or do you also have relationships, networks to tap
Yeah, we
in?
have relationships, so we could get, we could reach out and get a basketball signed by somebody famous, or a pair of shoes or something like that. It doesn't have to be expensive items. And then you could reach out to, the dancers and whoever's in that room and say, well, here's a pair of one of the famous dancers' shoes, ballet shoes.
I just
Something
remembered
like
we have a famous dancer who is logged in right now.
Yeah, Brooke.
Please wave your hand.
Yeah, it could be a dancing session with Brooke in a dancing business. It could be anything like that. So all those sort of things go, and you can raise good money and donate it to the charity. I think that's really important, and that can happen as long as we time it right and we start at 8:30 and we finish at 9, and then the awards start at 9. And if there's anyone famous in the room, then you might say, listen, could you donate an hour of your time to have lunch with this person? And that can be a great thing.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you so much for that.
Is there out-of-pocket cost to the nonprofit organization to get services like you guys to come and provide an auction?
We do charge, but we don't charge for charities. We wouldn't charge you for the auction. So no.
Okay.
So it's a matter of just planning ahead the time. But no, we don't. For us, our business is, there'll be people in the room that'll sell a house with us. So that's where we get our business.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. I didn't even think about it that way. That's true.
Yeah.
So how does it work then for an event? So a lot of our nonprofit organizations that are on here today are very either new organizations, or they're just starting out and have brand new budgets, but maybe they want to have a fundraising event and have an auction. So Amber's is a little bit more, I think, Amber, yours is probably more of a well set an example of a nonprofit organization that is pretty well established. But like a lot of us on here with brand new organizations that want to help, raise funds, we would just reach out.
Just to give you an idea, the most we normally charge for an auction is between $500 and $1,000 for the night. So it's not expensive. And so that's the most we've ever charged for a charity auction. Obviously for a house auction, it's real money, but that's all we really charge. And other than that, it's not an expensive item to get done. And if it's a one-off, we wouldn't charge you, but if we're doing 10 every Saturday night, then we would obviously have to work something out, but it's not expensive.
Another
Okay.
thing I want to add to that, Sharon, especially for new organizations, you can seek sponsorship opportunities from local businesses and individuals to cover the cost of hosting the auction. And then that means more of the funds raised go directly to the cause. So that's another good way to get people to participate.
Yeah.
Sure.
And realistically, everyone in the room knows somebody famous. So they just have to ring their friend and say, hey, I need your old shoes, sign them and give them to me.
Yeah.
Totally.
The best part, I will say, the best part about the charity events is when the owners involve the people who are attending in the organization of it. So, you'd put out some posts saying, we are looking for sponsors if anyone wants to donate food or drinks or, a couple $100 to go towards a photo booth, stuff like that. That's what we do at a lot of our events. And then secondly, you also do that to add on to your thing, Amber, for the gifts that you need donated that we would auction off, you reach out to the people attending, because what we've often done, for example, when I did the Mother's Day breast cancer event, everyone who donated turned up to my event, and we brought them up on stage. So I am a dancer. I've been dancing for about 23 years. I was trying to move my camera because I'm at home and I've got my dancing book right behind me, which is funny.
And
but
a really
I would
good
say for that
dancer.
event, you know, I'd reach out to my thank you so much. And yeah, and you would reach out and say, you know, the people who came, for example, at Mother's Day, I had my friend, she's one of the best teachers at Playground, and she got up and, you know, when we auctioned off her one-on-one session, which is normally worth at least a few $100s, she got up and was part of the auction, and we said, this is, you know, Alexis, and she's one of the greatest teachers at Playground, and it really adds to it, and you get great photos. It's a good little sales pitch for the people who are selling or giving away, donating, I should say, their time, but also an opportunity for them to get a bit of business maybe down the track too. So that's really fun too, if you look at your audience of who's coming to that event, to really involve them. I find that's when you really get the greatest donations and also the greatest response to the items.
Okay, so that's the plug drop of the day. If you're considering doing an auction for with your nonprofit organization to raise funds, Brooke just made a stellar recommendation, and that is to include the attendees and those you're inviting to the event, because they may know someone that has an awesome product or a service, or know somebody famous that can help contribute to the auction organization. And it sounds like that's a critical component to having a successful auction.
Yep, for sure.
It is.
Okay. Do you have any cool data points that you can share? Our groups love, we're all like suckers for data. Do you have any cool like statistics or data or some cool things like highlights from any of the recent events that you guys have done?
We have about half a dozen videos that we could send you to forward to the group of how the auction actually works and the pace of the auction. It's probably easier if we send that after the call. Brooke can send it to you and you can share it with everyone. And that'll just give everyone a bit of a feel of what it looks like. Because did you say you did an auction once, or you've been to one?
I have, but I don't think it was like the style how you do. You're up there talking and doing the bids. This was more of an auction where they people walked through and placed bids throughout the night.
Okay, so that's called a silent auction, where they just write it on a piece of paper. But it has no theatre, doesn't engender any competition, it doesn't let any egos get involved. You know, you have two people in the room bidding for dinner with Samuel Jackson, they pay silly money. But if you write on a bit of paper, nobody cares. So it does create the objective is to create competition to people who are drunk, who will pay more money.
Sounds like a fun night.
Yeah.
I think statistics wise, do you want to follow on that, Nyla? Yeah, no, you go for it.
We did a Women's Council Realtors auction last week that Brooke and Glenn hosted, and they raised, I believe, like $5,000 to $7,000, and that was just within maybe half an hour. And that was just basically auctioning off the top producing real estate agents this quarter, and you get an hour with them of lunch, and they raised close to $7,000. And then the Taylor Swift prostate cancer auction, that was a couple months ago, they raised almost $30,000 for that one.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So what is your best recommendation for some of the like newer, smaller, not as well-known organizations? What's the first step you guys recommend they should take if this is something that they want to consider for their, and what type of event should they be having that would make sense for an auction to be at?
Well, I think they've got to find a venue that's not expensive, because you can burn your money in a venue very quickly. So like our office here is a great spot to hold an event. It doesn't cost you anything. So they could have it here, or they can find a small event. You don't have to have a big sit-down dinner, because any money you make goes to the event. So you really want to have a low-cost venue, number one. Pick a date that works. It should be generally middle during the week. Don't pick a Saturday night or a Sunday night, because people get tied up with their families. Unless it's a cracking black tie event, people won't come on a weekend. So you want to be, Wednesday, Thursday evening, starts at 6:30, finishes at probably 10, the auction's at 9. And then they're the key elements to it. Make sure you have it organised really well. And then you don't have to spend a fortune on alcohol and food and all that, because otherwise you just burn all the money. You want it all donated. So you want a restaurant. If you've got a restaurant that will partner you, and then you can have it at the restaurant, that's a bonus, because that cuts out all the donation to food and alcohol. It's covered, and you can charge, $50 a head to cover the food and wine per person. It's not for free. People have to pay for their ticket So if the food and wine's 50, you probably charge 75 or something, so that the profit makes a little bit of money out of it on the side.
Okay. And what are your recommendations as far as like, well, one of the best recommendations that we heard you guys say today was to reach out to those who are attending to kind of solicit from them any suggestions or products and stuff. What have been, in your guys' experience, some of the most successful items in the bid, or does that even really make that much of a difference because people know they're bidding because it's a charity event?
People bid for a charity, but they generally bid. Things that work well is we had things like a chef coming to your house and cooking dinner for 4 people and cleaning up and leaving. That is a really popular thing. You know, lunch with somebody famous, like, lunch with Scottie Pippen, something like that can go for really crazy money. So lunch with a celebrity in Beverly Hills, that's what people love. I can't get to that person, but if you can get me lunch with somebody that that's an actor or an actress, an hour lunch is all we need, Those sort of things are pretty popular. So it really is about your relationships with people. Driving a Ferrari for the weekend, or, 2 nights at a hotel. Those sort of things are the things that go well because people can't really buy all those things. So you've got to have your 12 items first. You've got to get your 12 items once you've got the date and the location, and you need about 8 weeks lead. You don't want to do it next week. You want 8 weeks lead time.
You said 8 weeks lead at time?
Yeah, 8 weeks is good because it gives you time to market. Because if I start sending out invites now, I need to have the auction items ready, the time to start, what's the dress code, all those sort of things planned ahead. At least 2 weeks to get your sponsors in. Because you got to have 5 sponsors that are going to throw money in. And not a lot of money, but, they're going to do it for branding. Smaller companies that are going to do it for branding.
Okay. So 8 weeks lead time, your minimum you're recommending. And then there was something else that you just said that I wanted to have you repeat that had to do with the number of items.
Yeah, 14 items, 15, no more than that. Otherwise, I can auction 100 items, but after about 12, 13, 14 people get bored. They want to get on with the next bid.
Okay.
And the auction itself needs to be before whatever the main event is. If there's a singer, a speech or something, then I go up before that. Otherwise, they've got something to hold them, and then a little bit of entertainment and you're out.
And you're like, the less items, the better. Like if you have a set 10 or 14, then they know that, there's not that many more they can win. So they're going to pay more for the items at hand. The ones that work the best as well in my experience is when we have the items set, ready, done, and we actually have a chance to promote those items on Instagram, on social media before the event. It is hard sometimes when you are, because it is a non-profit, you're using your relationships. It can be a bit of work. Like I will say, for someone doing this for the first time, like just to warn you, like it is a lot of pre-work, but you all know the reason why you're doing the event. And I think, the more organized you can be and the more you can really pull, it's really ringing up the phone to all your friends and saying, hey, Nyla, I'm running an event next Thursday. I think you could donate this for me. You do have to do it. They only do it when you ring one-on-one. If you just send an email blast, people don't respond as well. It's really, they're doing it for you as a person and what you stand for and what your nonprofit stands for. And as long as you communicate that, you'd be really surprised the amount of people that donate things and that really go out of their way to just say, you know what, this is for a great cause. How about I just give you, I'll donate 12 bottles of wine or whatever it might be,
Okay.
Also,
Things that don't work well
go ahead.
things that don't work well is art, because it's very specific taste. And also things that don't work well is jewelry, like earrings, watches, necklaces. Because if I'm standing in front of a crowd of 50 people, nobody can see it. So something I can hold up that's big, even it's cheap, but it's big, I can hold it up and show people. They love to walk out with something. They don't want to walk out with a little earring. They can't see it on stage. So they always struggle with, and art is very, very specific. So, those sort of things you've got to be very careful of.
Okay, so that's good. So avoid jewelry, avoid art.
Yes.
That's so unique and customized to people's taste. So we want
For example, if somebody in your crowd happens to know Sylvester Stallone, who generally hangs around Beverly Hills, and they could get a 45-minute cup of coffee with him, that's where you're going to make decent money.
Yeah.
So it's a relationship. I know this guy, he will give you 45 minutes in a public place for coffee. Game over. That's the sort of stuff that you will make good money on.
Exactly. And I was going to say, like what Patrick just said, selling an experience. When you auction items that have an experience or a backstory, a compelling story, people get more emotionally tied to it and tend to bid higher on the items.
Could you imagine how much money they'd pay for dinner with Nyla?
I mean, I would.
You're so crazy.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I have a question, but before I ask that, just because I'm all over the place because I'm so fascinated. How did you guys even get into auctions? Because you're primarily in the real estate industry, which I know there's the auction side in the real estate industry, but were you guys like, oh, like this would be cool on the charity side? Like, how did you even get into that?
We've been doing it for 35 years. So real estate auctions have been something that Brooke and I have done all our lives, nearly 35 years or 40 years of it. And then naturally people then have events, and we started saying, stop doing silent auctions. Let's switch it to a live auction. And that's taken off really well. And we've been doing it for decades.
And is it really like, okay, so I'm not going to lie, I've really only seen live auctions on TV. Is it just like what you see on TV where you're up there and it's like, I'm not even going to attempt to do it because I'll embarrass myself, but is it just like what you see in the movies?
A little bit faster. Well, it's a little bit faster because I don't know. Have you seen, how was your auction last time? What did it sound like?
Well, so I learned today the difference between a live auction and a silent auction. And so I learned today that what the auction I had was actually a silent auction. So there wasn't anybody up there talking, doing the cool, like fast stuff, saying like going once, twice, whatever. We didn't get to have that experience. Yeah,
that's the experience that can create the right atmosphere. Like if I'm going to, there's the Mont Blanc pen. If I'm going to auction that pen, then it creates this atmosphere like $100 now, $100 now, $110, $120, $130, $130 now, $130 now, $130, $140, $150 now, $160 now, $160, $170, $180 now, $190. Go ahead, stop.
That literally just made my day. I'm done. I quit. This is awesome. Okay.
And that's why you need to use Glenn and Brooke, because this is what you get.
Right. I mean, so it's a whole, like you guys are saying, I mean, it creates the competitive environment, having a live auction. It creates the value. It creates the media. That was so cool.
Because people by nature are competitive and they don't want to get outbid. And when you have somebody like Glenn doing that, people start to compete against each other. So all it's going to do is make more money for your auction.
Yeah.
And also to add on to what you were saying earlier, Dr. Karen, like, where did you even start this? I mean, just don't forget, we're also from Australia. So it's like, we're from a totally different country, whereby that's actually how we sell 80% of our homes in Australia. So it's just the norm. It's like here, the norm is a traditional sale in America, but in Australia, the norm is an auction. So the event of the weekend is going to auction. So every Saturday you go out, you go look at 5 houses. And, my job was when I was 17 to organize a coffee van, and we'd have a coffee van handing out free coffee to, 100 neighbors that would come out. And then my dad and I would arrive at each house on the hour and walk in, meet the sellers. Hey guys, great to see you. Hope you're feeling not too nervous for today. We've discussed yesterday that we're going to sell the house at $1 million. Anything under that price, we will pass in, we will not sell, and anything above that, we're just going to let it ride and see how high the price gets. And then, we'd walk out to 100 to 200 people, neighbors, kids, friends, bidders, just spectators, and the news report, newspaper would normally be there too. And they would just stand there and watch, us conduct the auction, but sell a house for $1 million. So, it's really natural to transition that into, we've done breast cancer, we've done prostate cancer, what are all the ones we did in Australia?
Women's charity, Shattered Women, we've done children's cancer, we've done every charity, Autism Society. There's always something that we'd like to attach to, and I think it's great for the community, and people like to come out for an event where they get fed, they get some alcohol, and they can buy something they would never buy and go home.
Yeah. Wow, that is too cool. Okay, so I have a question for you guys. From your experience,
sorry, doctor, what are you a doctor of?
My doctorate's actually in public health, but I run a company called the Nonprofit Plug, and these are all the individuals that come every single week to our Lunch and Learn, that learn about different nonprofit topics. And if you're a nonprofit founder, if you're a leader, if you're a manager, if you have a brand new nonprofit, and so everyone is here. So they show up.
Okay, so I'm gonna auction you off. I'm gonna say how to run a not-profit. You want to learn how to do it. You can have lunch with the doctor for an hour, and it's going to cost you. Who'd like to start me? And we'll see how much we get.
Oh God! But what if we only get $5?
It's all right. No, I'll stop you.
No. Glenn is the poo. Okay, like you have to experience this. One of the strategies that I do love and appreciate is that, like Nyla was saying, people are naturally competitive, right? So you may have two people that are going after, and they just going back and forth. He will go ahead and say sold to both of them, which is literally doubling your profit. So it's just really something you got to. It's really a great experience. It's very exciting.
I know. I want to have an event now just to have Glenn, Brooke, and Nyla at there so we can have an auction, which we've got actually a lot of clients, a lot of individuals on here today. There's people are primarily here from Los Angeles area, and then we've got a couple individuals that show up from around the country. But this is great way to just bring in. We like to show people who have nonprofits that there's all these different ways. Sorry, there's a siren going by.
Yeah, I think go onto my Instagram and follow me on Glenn Cortino. That's my details. My auctions are on there. They'll get a feel for it.
Oh, Brooke, will you drop that in the chat box?
Sure.
I was just going to ask you guys too, like, how can people reach out to you guys if they're interested in having an auction at their next event? So check the chat box, you guys. It's in the chat box, their Instagram links, Glenn's, Brooke's, Nyla's, all in there. If you guys are having an event and you want to consider having an auction, we love additional revenue streams. You hear about that in business all the time. It is the same in nonprofit organizations. This is your purpose-driven business. We need to bring in money to pay for programming, to pay for staffing, probably to pay your own salary. These are great ways because this money from the auction is also unrestricted.
Yeah.
For unrestricted funds. That means you guys as nonprofit founders can use these funds to pay for staff, overhead, and other things that your organization may have. Joseph, ask away.
Sorry, and for the buyer, it's a legitimate tax deduction as well.
Even better.
2 questions.
Joe, introduce yourself and say what nonprofit you're with.
I'm Joseph. I'm with the Action Project. We're a youth mentoring program and much more. But a couple questions pop up because I have ran into it. Just the language around, I mean, like fundraising. Like I know we're talking about auction, but like I know around like raffles, I can't remember all the details, but like I know there was some kind of loophole where we couldn't call it raffles anymore because of tax purposes or something, so we had to do it a different way. That's one question. And then another question I had was like, what is a silent auction? Like, is it an auction just without no voice, or?
Pretty much. The silent auction is a piece of paper in front of a basketball and people just write their bid. I'll give you $2. The next guy puts 3, I'll give you 5. So they just write down, and the highest price normally wins. That's a silent auction. A lot of people don't do the raffles because there's a lot of mucking around and it doesn't really make a lot of money. So they just go straight to the live auction. And then that's the one that makes the most amount of money. The raffle itself doesn't necessarily give you much money, but also it doesn't give you the ability to fight. People want to fight for something. That's where you make your money.
Mm-hmm. And then Joe, we'll actually send out some information on the raffles and things like that in the language. California has additional requirements. Each state has their own requirements on reporting for various fundraising types of activities. So we'll share that information with the group so that you guys have that information, but good questions. I think I saw another hand up. Miss D, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Hi, Glenn and Brooke and Ella. It's been like eons, right?
Yeah. How are you?
I'm great. So, quick question. I work for a nonprofit. And it's mainly online due to COVID. So our company staff is kind of like scattered all over the place. We have our audience ranges from the States, Los Angeles, to Australia, Europe. And if I wanted to make this suggestion to my company, like, what do you suggest as far as like maybe like an online auction? I mean, right now we're not doing a whole lot.
We've done we have done online auctions before. That's easy enough to facilitate. The auction online is very simple to do. You would just need to set up a website and then control payment. But online auctions, as long as they register, they put down some identification so that when they buy something, they, you know, at an event when they buy something, we walk up and get the credit card off them straight away. Online, you have to have that all in place beforehand. So they would need to put their credit card down so that we would get paid for the item. But online auctions are fine as long as you, you know, make sure that you have the right time zone for all the people in different countries.
So for how many, I know that you guys stated that, like, you know, less is more. So for an online auction, how many items?
Yeah, 14 or 15 items is plenty.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Thank you.
about the same for an online and silent auction versus the live auction. You guys are recommending that no matter what type of auction it is, to keep it between 10 to 15 max.
Yeah, no more, because people's attention span is short.
Right.
Yeah, just remember, with online auctions, it doesn't have the same ego and theatre because people aren't looking at each other in a room with a glass of wine. So it's not quite the same, but it still works.
One of our attendees is asking if you guys have any recommendations for resources to find items or people that are willing to donate to auctions beyond just personal relationships.
Yeah, you can approach all the shopkeepers in your area. So if you happen to work in a particular street, you go to all the shops and say, how about we donate a free haircut? Or how about, would you give us a free dinner? We've done that. We walk up and down the street and we go to the restaurant and say, would you donate, you know, we've had restaurants donate a dinner for 4. Haircut for 4. Not that I need a haircut, but you know, that's the best way to do it.
Okay, awesome. And then oh, go ahead. I hear someone's voice. Oh, sorry, Nyla, that's you.
Oh, yeah. Really try to target your fundraising. So if it's something for the community, like Glenn said, you want to go to different businesses in that community because they're going to feel more connected to your cause and donate. If it's something for like cancer, you want to reach out to other people that have been affected by that, or by survivors, or people that go to those type of organizations or events. So just be very clear with who you're trying to get money from. And once you target those fundraising actions, you're going to get more money from people that way, being very specific with your cause.
Yeah, and if you're going to walk into a restaurant or a hairdressing salon and you're going to ask for a donation, you really have to be dressed exceptionally well, because the worse you're dressed, the less chance they have of giving you anything.
Okay.
So suit up and go knock on doors and you'll get stuff.
Dress like $1 million.
That's
Presentation is everything.
Yeah. Okay, just because I love life and I think everything in the world is the most hilarious thing, and I'm toxic positive, I have a question. In your guys' past 30 plus years of doing auctions, what was like the biggest fuck up you ever had?
No, I mean, the things that don't happen are people put up some artwork that is just nobody bids because it's 50 grand and no one's going to spend 50 grand at an auction. We've had that.
And it's like ugly.
Yeah, they put up an ugliest piece of artwork worth 100,000 and nobody bids. So you stand up there and you get nothing. So it's really important with the auction that you structure where the first 5 items sell. So you start with your cheaper stuff and then you work up to the bigger stuff. So we've sold, you know, we've sold air tickets to Antarctica. We've sold tickets first class that are donated by, you know, an airline. That have, you know, those sort of things go really well. But no, you know, things go wrong. The mic doesn't work. Show must go on. No, we're okay with all that. We don't have anything major. As long as if we're involved at the start, there's no problem. If we get thrown in 10 minutes before the auction, there's always a problem, because the other one is that they don't have people in the crowd to get people's numbers. So I sell everything and then nobody knows who bought it, because you need 4 people running around the crowd getting names and numbers of the person that bought it. Because once they leave the room, if you don't have their details, they won't pay you.
So attendance of the crowd is a critical component too, and having people within the crowd with the ability to purchase.
Yeah, you need 5
I would say
spotters running.
You need the spotters, and we need it can't be us because we're running the auction on the store. You guys get all the names and numbers, but it's actually a separate role. So from the nonprofit, even if it's your friends or whoever helps you run your nonprofit, you need 4 dedicated go-getters who are not who are confident to go up and ask, and probably to take payment on the spot, because the key is when they're already drunk, they're in the motion, and you're about to give them the gift. That's when you need to be like, yeah, Venmo, boom. You just don't have to get their phone, Venmo straight away, because what happens is when you get names and numbers, if you even get them, you ring the next day and they go, oh, I didn't want to pay that much for it. I don't know, I can't pay $1,000. I think I have too many drinks, and they try and wiggle out of it. And that's an issue, then you don't collect the money. We've had that before. It's just part of the process. But
or somebody that's in the crowd, they come up to Brooke and I at the end of 15 auctions and go, who bought auction number 7 again? Too late, gone. We can't remember. There's no way we're going to know.
Wow.
Because we can't remember. When we were on the stage, we're so busy looking at the people, pointing out the crowd. But you know, you need the note takers who are doing the groundwork on the ground to write everything down. That's critical.
And non-reserved items, you can't give me something to auction. Yeah, you can't give me something to auction and say, listen, this is worth $1,000. If I don't get 1,000, I'm not selling it. Doesn't work, because sometimes they go for 500, sometimes they go for 2,000, but they have to be donated items that will be sold at any price.
Okay.
Yeah. Because
This
we've
is
had that
so
happen.
cool. Oh, really?
Like
Oh,
we were
God.
jewelry
The auction
and
panel.
Or overinflated items. So someone will come to me and go, look, I want to give you a coaching session that I normally sell for $2,000. So, and it's probably worth $50 anyway. Do you know what I mean? So you can't inflate things at the auction.
That totally makes
Yeah.
sense.
No reserves are important. Just like remember when you're communicating to your friends when they're donating, just know that it might sell for $50 or $5, and they have to be okay with that, because we had one time when Dad and I were doing an auction, and I think we were selling some jewelry and we're trying to sell it for 200. Meanwhile, the owners of the jewelry company and the non-profit are all fighting and saying, Glenn, stop the auction. And then someone saying, don't sell it for 200. And it's just, we can't, like, once we start, it's got to be able to sell it. So that would be my other tip too.
And really, people need to know that the items that are given to the auction for the purpose of the auction, once they're given to the auction and it's donated to the auction, to the organization, do whatever with, it's kind of like, let it go. Whatever happens, happens.
That's correct.
Okay. We have one more question. Miss Lydia.
Hi, I'm in California and I'm having an auction at an event in October. And I'm curious about when the value of an item is $400, what would you start that bidding at?
Okay, so we would start at probably at 100 and go up in 50s, but really fast. So you don't go 100. Can anyone give me? You start at where everyone's going to buy it. So 10 hands go up. So you started at, let's say you started at 50 and 5 people put their hand up. Then you go 50, 100, 150, 200, 150, fast.
Well, no, that's a lot. You're speaking of a live auction, but I'm speaking of a silent auction. So what a
silent auction started, they always start at 0.
200? Okay.
No, normally they should start at 0 because there should be no reserve on it for a silent auction. Where is your auction? Is there any live auctions, or is this all silent?
We judge whether we're going to have live based on what items we get. So if we have experiences or things that are very valuable, then we might do that as a live auction. Everything is not, that doesn't have that kind of appeal.
Yeah. So when is the event?
Donated.
When's the event?
Oh, I'm sorry, October 13th.
Okay, just give us a ring. Once you know what you've got, give us a call.
In terms of setting the prices, you mean? Helping us to set the prices?
Yeah. Well, if you want a live auctioneer, then call me. But if you want to set numbers and pricing, we can help you with that. But normally, a silent auction, it's donated. The price should start at 0.
So,
and I think that's actually what I did for the silent auction that I had for a nonprofit organization I was running. Everything started at 0, and people would walk into the event, and we made people walk into the event through the auction. So they were forced to look at all the items, and people would just bid right there on the paper. They put their name, number, email address. And by the end of at the end of the night, we would announce who all the winners are and collect. Our goal was to collect the money on the spot too at the end. But, you know, kind of like Brooke was saying, if you don't collect it right then and there, forget it.
But if the item is worth $400 and you started at 0 and somebody bids $10, now you're out, or $50. Now you didn't get.
You could do a recommended start. I've seen some people do recommended starting bids. Is that right, Glenn?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want to have a reserve. So the item that you have that's worth 400 is donated, so it's given for free. Anything you get above $10 is a bonus.
Oh,
the people,
yeah.
you know, the market will set its own value. If it's worth 400, then somebody will pay 200-300 because they're getting a little win on the night. But no one's going to buy it for $10 because if that's the case, you go and buy it yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Lydia, I put their contact information in the chat if you want to do some extra follow-up. And guys, don't forget, today is recorded. If you want to come back and listen to this, I want to ask one final question. Glenn, Brooke, and Nyla, what is your one last final recommendation for nonprofit organizations who want to host a live auction? Because the key here is live. That's where you truly make the money, is at the live auction, because of that fun environment. I also just want to see Glenn on stage, but give us one last final
The only thing you need to do is call Brooke or Nyla.
Duh.
That's it. Don't
My
do it
final
without calling the girls. Don't even go
recommendation
there without a problem.
is basically, this is how you're going to make the most money and also offset the expenses you would have to put out. If you can reach out to as many sponsors as possible, they're going to want to donate more money if you are having an auction for a cause, a charitable cause. So then when you get your ticket sales and your food and everything else, if you get a lot of that covered, that's just more money going towards you and your nonprofit. And then lastly, I was going to say, don't forget your, to make it fun. What are they called, Brooke? The auction paddles?
Oh,
When
yeah.
The paddles,
The
yeah.
big- Yeah.
Yeah, you
That
want to
makes it
have something fun that maybe has the name of your organization or something on there. So when everybody's actually raising their hand, we have something that makes like a little noise. And you just go up and down. You know, it gets people involved. It's exciting.
Yeah, I would
It's
just say
the whole environment of it.
exactly. I think like topping off now, like the environment is key. So like it's either got to be fun venue or an ideal speaker. Like sometimes I attach like a speaker panel. So I had Nyla speak, Telly Swift, and a couple other great women speak. And that sometimes is the draw card too, because you pull in all the people of their audiences who want to hear these people speak on a small inspirational panel. So make sure there's someone like spicy in the room, maybe a couple of drinks or some fun food, something that's just gives people, an excuse to get out.
Yeah,
I think Los
somebody
Angeles,
that can, yeah,
people can get
you're right.
lost sometimes and they just want to feel like they belong to something. They want an excuse to go out. And most importantly, they want like a safe and supportive environment. So it's very important who you have in the room, because they will leave that room on a high. They will remember your company and they will come back to your events in the future.
Which is wild, and this is accurate. And these guys have demonstrated that, because I have now just literally within the past 6 months have run into seeing you guys at events and auctions of colleagues and other nonprofits that we've worked with here in Los Angeles. So you guys are a testament to providing great customer service and a fun event, because I see it. I literally see you guys all over the place now.
A good speaker about, somebody speaking about customer service, client, building your family, being a good parent, that's a really good thing to do. We don't want economists, bankers, interest rates, none of that, accountants, none of those guys should be on stage ever.
Yeah.
No offense to anyone who is one.
We want a fun party.
Yeah, correct.
Awesome. Well, Brooke, Glenn, Nyla, I am so honored that we were able to have you guys join us today and bless us with the auction life and knowledge. And it just sounds like, literally, it just sounds like the most fun party to make money and just engage your whole crowd and create an environment where everybody gets to have fun. I really thank the three of you for joining us at our Lunch and Learn today. If anybody has questions, their contact information is down there in the chat. And you can always reach out to us at the Nonprofit Plug to get that information. We will send out a recording from today. That'll also have their contact information, and you'll get to hear some of the key plugs that they had for the day as well. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Y'all are off the hook for today. We'll see you next week.
See you, mate. Thanks so much. Bye.
Thanks, Glenn.
Bye.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you,
Thank
Nayla.